Leimone Waite with Shasta College Horticulture Department, and I'm here to show you how to start seeds using a flat. You do want the proper type of flat. This is a propagation flat. A lot of flats that you see are these carrier flats, and notice the larger netting at the bottom, where the propagation flat has a much smaller netting. You can use this kind of flat, but you need to then put newspaper or something in the bottom or the soil will fall out. So we're going to start with the flat. You do want to use soil that's either been sterilized or comes in a bag. If it's a bagged soil that is specifically for a starting seed or is a potting soil mix, it has been sterilized. If you don't use sterile soil and you use just soil like from a wheelbarrow or something like that, then you end up with soil that has weed seed and possible pathogens in it that may cause the seeds to dampen off and they'll actually rot at the stem. So we're going to fill our flat using a bagged soil. The other thing you want to test is to make sure that your soil has enough moisture in it, and you should be able to squeeze it and have it sort of stay clumpy. So this is slightly too dry because it's not really staying in a nice clump when you squeeze it, but you don't want to squeeze water out of it either. You don't want it to be too wet. But we can add more moisture. If it's super dry, you might want to add moisture right now, but because this one has enough dampness in it, we'll just add the moisture after we've planted our seed. So once we've filled our flat, we are then going to use a screed just to level off the flat, because we want to use every bit of this flat for root development. So we want to fill our soil completely to the top and have that for our little seedlings to develop roots. If we only put a little bit of soil in the bottom, then when the seeds sprout, they just have a really small root. So we want to make sure that we're filling the flat completely full. And so we'll just kind of use a screed to do that, get it all nice and level. This makes it easier when you're planting too, so we'll just kind of do that. So our screed has a flat side and then it has a little notch side, and I'll show you what you do with the notch side here in a minute. Then we're going to use a tamp, and this tamp is just used to make sure that our soil is settled in the flat, and I'm just going to use a little bit of pressure, like, you know, 1 finger. You don't need a lot. You're going to then just kind of pressure it to where you're making sure there's no air pockets or anything. If an air pocket does show up, you're going to fill that again and make sure that it's a nice smooth surface. So when you're done, your flat should look like this, where it's nice and smooth on the surface. And then you're going to take this screed again and flip it over, so you're using the notch side, and then we're going to make our rows with this screed, and we're just going to have a little bit of pressure to make the rows. I like to put 4 rows in a flat. That gives us about 200 seeds per flat if we put 50 seeds per row. And just by putting a little line in there, we can plant our seeds in that line. It helps guide us in planting the seed, and it also helps with determining where your seed is in the flat after you've planted. And then we're going to plant our seed. And it's important, as you're planting seed, that you write down what type of seed it is and you label it properly. So we have a label, and if it's organic, we'll use a purple label. And if it's not organic, we'll use a white label. So this one is an organic seed. This one is a non-organic seed. For the non-organic, we'll use a white label. And that helps us to track which plants we planted with organic seed and which ones we planted with regular seed. Because if we mix it up, then we're in violation of our organic certification. So it's a good way for us to track which seed is organic and which is not. Then you're going to take the seed and you're going to tap it out in the row. And I like to make a tight crease in my packet. And then I'm going to just tap my seed out in the row. And if you get a clump, like I got a little bit too much there, you can just kind of shift it around to where you get where you want it to be even. I want about 50 seeds in the row. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to use a little bit of vermiculite. Vermiculite is like a puffed clay material. And I'm just going to cover my seeds lightly. So you could also use some of your soil to do this. I like to use the vermiculite, and that way it allows for us to track where the seed is in the flat. You only want to cover your seed about twice the diameter of the seed itself. So if it's a really tiny seed, you're going to cover it very lightly. If it's a larger seed, like these marigolds that I just planted, you would cover it a little bit heavier. But you want to keep track of, what the size of the seed, and then go twice the size, as diameter size, as far as you're covering. The final step would be to take it and water it in, and then you are done with your seed flat. Again, my name is Leimone Waite. If you're interested in learning more about horticulture or coming out to check out our program, contact one of our counselors at Shasta College.